If you're an independent artist trying to do it all, drop music, grow on socials, design merch, book shows, chances are it might not be growing the way you want it to. And the problem isn't you, it's focus. And today I want to talk about the power of doing a lot of a little and why it changed everything for my own personal music career. For those that don't know me, my name is Nick. I'm an independent artist with give or take 5 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And I just like to share my thoughts on how to grow and make a living in music in what I feel is the most practical way to do so. So if you're interested in that, stick around and consider subscribing to the channel. The first point I want to make is something I'm going to call the creative curse. And it's just wanting to do everything. As artists, we're usually multi-talented and very curious by nature. Now that is a strength, but it can also be a trap. We end up trying a little bit of everything, which leads to shallow progress everywhere. It feels productive, but really we're just spinning in circles. It's being busy for the sake of being busy. And I think as creative people, it's very hard for us to just simply be intentional with what we're doing and work towards one very specific goal, and we get lost in trying to do a lot of a little bit. And I think the reason for that is there are far too many options for what we could be doing with our time. Albums or singles, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, merch drop, create a content calendar, perform live, focus on releasing singles and making songs. When you're independent, it all falls on you, and that freedom can be very paralyzing. I think the real power comes from focusing on one thing. Real progress comes when you zoom in. You pick one lane, you give it everything you got for a season, and you go all in. Do a lot of one thing, go deep, not wide. You don't need to do everything. You need to do one thing well enough that it gives you the margin to do the next thing better. I'm going to take a little bit here to talk about how focusing on one thing was beneficial for me in my own personal music career journey. And I'm also going to talk about a buddy of mine, Connor Price, and how I view his ability to do that at scale very, very well. So for my own personal music journey, I wanted to, this is going to be different for everybody. I wanted to stay home. I have a family. I have 2 kids. I'm married. I have a farm to take care of. And I just like being at home. I'm not really one to want to be away. So I don't want to tour. So that kind of helped me focus a bit just by not really desiring to tour. But where I kind of shined was my only real, my overarching goal for my music career was to be able to have a flexible life, to do what I want to make a living. And the way that I saw the best way for me to do that was to focus on getting my streaming numbers up. I had a goal to do 1 million streams a day. That was my, on Spotify alone. So I had a goal to do 1 million streams a day on Spotify, and that's what kind of my North Star. So everything that I was doing on a day-to-day basis pointed towards that North Star. How do I get to 1 million streams every day on Spotify alone? So I was able to kind of put the blinders on, and I didn't really do a lot. I said no to 99% of everything. And I was just able to hone in, focus, and throughout that process, what I was able to do was just learn the best way to get streaming numbers up. Quick pause. If you want to know more about how I was able to get my streaming numbers up and more specific details about what I did and what I was doing, and a lot of helpful mindset tips, I think the mind is one of the most important things that you can kind of prepare for getting things done. I did write a book titled You Don't Want It Bad Enough, and it's about how I personally feel about how to navigate the music industry independently and what I feel is the most practical way to make a living making music without a label. So if you care about that, I'll put the link in the description, and let's get back to the video. And obviously, in today's age in making music, it's to be found on discovery platforms such as TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, whatever it is. Creating short-form content that gets the attention, and then be able to take that attention and point it to a place that can drive your revenue, right? Attention is currency. I just focused on creating as much music as possible, and creating as much content as possible. And in turn, that would get my streaming numbers up. And I've been able to be very fortunate, very blessed to say that I did hit that goal of doing 1 million streams a day. I hit that goal a few years ago, and I've been able to kind of hover there up until now. I attribute a lot of that success to being able to focus on one thing, give it everything I got, and I think your ability to focus is a superpower in a world where everyone else is distracted. There's so many things in the day-to-day people's phones and technology that are causing people to be distracted. So I think a superpower is if you can find a way to be focused on something in a world where everyone is distracted. I think that's going to be a superpower. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about Connor Price and kind of his climb. So he was also a great example for focusing on one thing. He did a lot of releasing frequently. He did a lot of creating content and getting his streaming numbers up. And he did it long enough. So you kind of got to think of it like chapters in a book, right? You have to finish chapter 1 to get to chapter 2. Everyone wants to kind of just like read all the chapters at once in the music industry, right? They want to do everything. They have the urge, the desire, the creativity, the spark. They want to do a little bit of a lot. When you really shine is when you do a lot of a little bit. So Connor, at the beginning, he was doing the same thing. He's posting content every day, releasing music very frequently, creating a lot of songs, driving traffic to Spotify and Apple Music and getting his streaming numbers up. And then after a couple years of doing that, he decided he wanted to go on tour. And because he had already done a lot of a little bit, a lot of getting people, a lot of creating content, releasing frequently, getting streaming numbers up, getting people to care and pay attention, then he went on tour. He built the fan base first, and then he went on tour. And in that, his first tour, his first headline tour ever as an independent artist was sold out. Every show sold out. And when he was on tour, he gave the tour every bit of his focus and every bit of his attention. And in turn, that's the reason why it's sold out, right? It's like, where can you put your focus? And wherever you put that focus is what will grow. And another real life example of this that's not in the music industry, but I think we can take something from it, is I might have talked about it in the past, but there's a food truck in Charleston, South Carolina. It was a food truck, now it's a brick and mortar. But it started as a food truck. And the line for this food truck was down the street. And the food truck sold, they just made fish and chips. That's what they sold. They sold fish and chips. But when you got up there, right, you waited in line. You got all the way to the front of the line. You get to the truck, you're reading the menu. And what it said on the menu was, we got fish and chips or fish or chips. Right? They did one thing. They did really, really well, and the line was down the street. They didn't try to do a little bit of a lot. They did a lot of a little bit. And they were able to build their business, and now they're in brick and mortar, and now they're crushing. And I think it's just another example of how honing in on one thing can lead to growing a lot in that specific thing. And it's not to say that, scratching the itch of doing those things. It's like this for me, like, educating people on I'm very passionate about educating people on growing in music and what I feel is the most practical way to do so. And I do honestly feel that if I sat here every day and created videos here every day, that the Freddie for Artists YouTube channel would have exponential growth. But I don't sit here every day. I sit here when I have an itch to talk about something, and I'm usually, sitting over there and I'm making music every day. So I try to be very focused on what I'm doing. I try not to do a lot, but if I am doing a lot, the majority of my time is focused on one thing, and that thing is the thing that I'm trying to take to the next level and to grow. I also think just focusing on too much at one time is stressful, right? There are too many options, and thinking about all those options in your mind over the time can just lead you to decision fatigue. It's like you can't even decide what you want to do because there's so many options. So I think if you just are able to lock in, pick one thing, give it all you got. Set a time frame for it. Give it all you got for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is. Like, for example, let's say you took the next 6 months to just only make music, not create content, not worry about touring, not worrying about selling merch, whatever it is, not graphic design for your cover arts, not making music videos. Just create the best and most music you can over the next 6 months. That's chapter 1. Chapter 2, make content to promote that music, right? And then build it that way. Look at it as like step by step. A lot of people are kind of trying to do it all at once, and I think it's exhausting, and you can't really give one thing your attention enough to even see it grow. So to summarize, focus does not mean you never do the other stuff. It means you choose what to build first. Every part of your career needs love, just not all at once. Think of it like the chapters in a book. Each one matters, but you got to write them one at a time. So just try to take a look at what matters right now to you. What really matters right now? Try to think about it. What's the one area, if you grew, would open up everything else? Comment what you're going to focus on. Share this with someone who you think might need to hear it. And remember, focus is a superpower, especially when everyone else is distracted. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Cheers.